Hello and welcome to Game Soup. My name is Ed.
My name's Joe.
And today we're going to be taking a look at a game that I've been working on, so this is our devlog for this game. But before we get started, I just want to remind everybody about the $3 Isn't Money campaign. I mean, $3 is nothing. It's the price of a cup of coffee or a cheeseburger. If you agree, send us $3. And the reason for that is we want to get upgrades in our studio here. We want better audio equipment. We want more hard drive space. Basically, small things that will allow us to make the channel much, much better and allow us to produce more content in the very limited time that we have each week to record. So we're working towards some new equipment, and if you agree with that goal, then go ahead and send us $3 through PayPal or Bitcoin, and we would love you forever. I mean, we'll still love you anyway, but we'll just love you a little bit less. So that's our campaign. $3 Isn't Money. Thanks. Anyway, let's get to the game, shall we?
All right, are we ready?
We are ready.
So I'm going to start moving here. I've never played the game before.
Nope. So I've got some dev control set up here.
So I guess I'm not. Right click.
There you go. Ah, okay. So.
Right click is jump.
You've learned to jump. And
now double jump.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
So you notice that you're collecting some rings and not others.
So we should note that we're using the dev controls here. This is supposed to be a runner.
Right. This is an infinite runner basically. So you don't have any control over going left or right normally, but because this is the first time I've ever showing it and having somebody else besides me play it, I'm going to give you full control. Oh, you're dying. You're collecting all these blue rings. That's wrong. Ah.
Left click, color swap. Oh. Wait, and now I'm on the ceiling? Oh, no.
Oh.
Wait, now that I'm blue...
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. That got complicated, didn't it? There you go. Okay, so now you can collect the opposite color. I see.
This is really, this is kind of a mind warp here.
It was worse before, and I'll explain all about it.
Opposites attract? So now I want to get opposite colors?
Yeah.
Because I crossed a certain...
Because you got that power up.
Opposites normalized. That's like a double whammy of confusion for a new player here.
It is, yeah. It is. So this is just a proof of concept. If this was an actual tutorial level, it would probably be about twice as long to give you some more breathing room, I think.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get it just done quickly, you know?
So this is the same level?
This is actually the first quote-unquote level.
Oh, okay.
Because that was just your tutorial. So this level has a little bit more going on, now that you sort of understand the basics.
So right-click to jump.
Yeah. So really, the game in its final state should really only consist of two buttons. One is the right-click and one is the left. You are. Oh, this is.
I'm not really sure how to do it.
No, I know. It looks hard.
I'm doing it in like a runner way here.
Yeah. No, that's all right.
I'm not going backwards.
Most of the time, the emphasis is on jumping at whatever plane you're already in. And switching planes is more of a strategic thing that you want to do when it feels right. I don't know. I won't try to justify it. But the basic idea is just to collect the ring of whatever color you are.
So you just lose a point when you get the wrong one? Mm-hmm. You don't die or anything?
There are actually 3 different difficulty settings. On normal mode, you lose 2 rings. This is, of course, not balanced at all. But you lose 2 rings for 2 points for every ring that you touch that's not the correct color. On easy mode, it's just 1. So if you collect a ring, you get 1 point. If you collect the wrong ring, you lose 1 point. There's also a hard mode, which is -3. And we didn't even get to show it, but there's also a menu, which I will show you in just a second here after that's it. That's pretty much it for the devlog here. So I put in a quick little credits screen here.
And this is a preview of a future episode, which is actually a past episode of Game Soup that we recorded back in December called Game Soup Plays Chavez. For Super Nintendo, which will be coming out shortly.
But I think his beautiful face made a good ending credits scene, right?
Cool.
So let's go. I'm going to go ahead and restart the game here. All right, so here we're back at the beginning again, just because the game doesn't yet have a restart option. So the first thing I want to note here is the menu. So if you hit the space bar, that'll pull up the menu. And there are a couple options here. Those all work, the resume, restart, and quit. Quit will just completely close the window. And right now there are 2 basic power-ups in the game. This is the Quantum Painkiller, which basically, if you run into a ring that's not the right color, you lose a certain amount of rings. This lowers the penalty for collecting a wrong ring.
So can I click on it?
You actually can't buy anything. So it actually costs score points, and right now, of course, you have 0. But these buttons don't work anyway. I haven't actually coded the functionality of this yet into the game. And slow shift, we didn't even talk about that. If you hold the shift key at any time, you get a temporary slowdown. So now, for example, the next one will be 65%. So currently, when you hold down the shift button, you go to 70% of your normal speed. And that is actually in the game. You can actually do that right now.
Yeah, I was testing it out, but I don't think we talked about it while we were recording the last run. But we're going to do one more run, and this time I'm not going to do it as a runner. We're going to use the dev controls more in this run, and we're going to go back and forth and kind of figure out the game a little bit more.
So why don't you go ahead and click resume, and also hit the number 1 key, and that'll pull up you can see here the dev information, the debug kit information. So we have our speed.
Right click.
All the information about timescales and speeds, and whether the game is even paused, and the direction of gravity. So, quite useful when you're trying to debug a game like this.
So I noticed that I can't turn upside down with the left click yet.
You can't.
So you have to wait until you actually get to that point in the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Every time the screen, you know how the screen just paused and told you to right click?
Yeah.
Every time you step on one of those triggers, it's actually a large vertical bar. Every time you pass through that, something gets enabled.
Right.
So at the very beginning, all you can do is jump, and then once you pass through the next one, you can double jump.
Okay.
Exactly. So, and that's because I didn't want your first impression of the game to be like, I'm just going to left click and see what happens, and then you have this new ability that you have no idea what's going on.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to ease the player into it.
Yeah. I really wanted the player to...
And since this is just a tutorial stage, this doesn't really count towards anything, right?
And so now here is the first time that you're able to color swap, and I wanted your experience doing that to be like, oh my god, it's a wall of coins, I can't do anything about it, I'm going to take damage. And then you color swap, and you're like, oh, look, now I can collect everything.
Yeah, I might have put that trigger a little bit more to the left, a little bit earlier.
So you're not so close to it,
So
I
you're
guess?
not quite so close to it. So you still have the panic, but it's not as close to it. So you have to immediately swap as soon as you get out of the trigger.
Well,
if that makes any sense.
My logic in that was that as soon as the screen pauses and says left click, I figured that's the first thing you're going to do. You might right click, and then you're going to take damage and lose coins, but I figured most people's natural instinct would be left click right away. So, but maybe you're right about that. I'm gonna, I'll take note of that and see if I can improve that in some way. And so the original idea for this, actually, believe it or not, was the opposite of this. When I first started developing it, it was if you're red, you can only collect blue rings, and if you're blue, you can only collect red rings. And you've already seen just a little bit of how insane that gets.
Yeah.
Because it twists your brain in a really weird way. My main goal was to make something that was really, really, really simple, but had a lot of room for growth in different mechanics, and also kind of twisted your brain, and also had some capacity for competition. Right? So you have the score that you can compete with others if you wanted to, compete with a friend and say who can get the higher score. That's like the most basic form of competition in any game. But I wanted there to be some element of like your quantitative analysis of your skill. And the levels just are so short that you can, if you wanted to, you could take the time to sort of memorize them or however you wanted to do it. So again, this power up where it switches everything, that was originally going to be how it always was, but then I decided that was way too hard, and I switched it to what the current layout is, which is red goes to red and blue goes to blue.
I like it. I think I like it better without that power up so far.
Okay.
But I haven't fully wrapped my brain around the game yet, so maybe that would be something you would introduce at like a later level.
Yeah.
But maybe you could introduce it in the tutorial, but I think don't use it too much in the earlier levels, or don't use it at all in the earlier levels.
Right.
I think that might be more. I think that might be easier for the player to understand. Like that you showed at the end of the tutorial is okay because you're going to run into it later on in the game.
Right.
But it's already so much to take in to just be swapping between the two colors when you first start playing.
It is, yeah, and if this was a full release, that would be spaced out much farther in the game. That wouldn't be the first thing you see, in the first level. You'd have a lot more time to absorb it. Yeah, you're not supposed to be able to get all those rings, but
so you're not supposed to actually be able to go back.
No, but my goal here with the different colors, especially on this level, was to sort of trace a path that you can, if you do it perfectly, you can go in one swell foop and pretty much get everything. So my goal here is for you to stay on the top the entire time here, and you would just jump over the red rings, and you can also get those if you want as an extra bonus if you feel confident you're jumping. So like these you have to jump over because they're red, and so this is actually a branching path. If you wanted to and you caught it in time, you could jump down there and get that power up, or you could just stay on the top row and there's a different set of rings for top and bottom path. And of course, if you were ballsy and you came down here, then you get all of these for free. So it's a huge incentive for you to do that.
Right.
And here you're kind of forced to get the normalizing power up.
I want these rings.
You sure do. You sure want them. This won't go up on the leaderboards. So here, this is a really simple section. If you just left click over and over and over, you'll get all the coins.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so it's up, down, over and over and over. So my basic, the one thing I wanted to do here in this second level was explore all the different possibilities, because I had a lot of ideas. I didn't know if any of them were good. So here we have these platforms that go up and the slopes and everything. There were spikes at one point in this level, but I haven't really nailed down what that would be good for, because there's already a penalty system in collecting the wrong color, so I don't really know if there's a good point to having spikes, which further penalize you.
Spikes are just always bad, I guess.
Spikes are just always bad, right? Like in any game. So I couldn't really figure out if that was worth it or not. Probably not.
I think if you're going to do it, introduce it later.
Yeah, I wanted to have more hazards, but again, in a game that's as short as this, and
I think it's better just to stick with the one concept, especially because it's a complex concept. I think I just started sort of wrapping my brain around it at the end.
Yeah.
And I have played a lot of Ikaruga in the past, so I'm sort of familiar with the color. Not sort of. I'm very familiar with the swapping mechanism, but it's very different in different games depending on the game. So it is kind of a brain bender. Yeah. This style of game.
I've kind of compressed maybe what would have been like 4 or 5 short levels into 2.
Yeah, the tutorials just to show more of what the game can do.
Yeah. So that was my take on doing something really, really simple, just collecting things of like color and trying to explore different ways of making that fun. I'm not sure if I will succeed in that so far. I found it to be enjoyable just because, especially if you're moving infinitely and you can't stop. So normally the character would have bullet behavior, which just means that you're going at a constant speed that you can't change except for that shift ability.
Right.
So you can imagine that you're in a section that gets really, really hairy and there's a lot of stuff going on and you need to just slow time for a couple seconds. You actually have the ability to do that. But that would be like a limited power-up that you could only use for so long. So, I don't know.
Did you have a bar, like an indicator for that, or no?
That was the plan. I didn't have that because this is the dev build. Normally, I don't know, I'm just throwing a number out there, maybe 5 seconds worth, and it would refill, slowly over time.
Right, but while you're not holding it, maybe just have it refill.
Exactly, but you might be able to use it just for a couple of seconds to get through something that's particularly confusing visually.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it for the basic systems. There were a lot of other things that I wanted to include, but just for the sake of being a complete short experience, I left most of it off. So, but these are the basics here in this game, which doesn't have a name.
Ring grabber.
Ring grabber. This is Ring Grabber, the devlog. So I don't know. I mean, any other thoughts? Be critical if you want.
Yeah, I like the concept. I think the concept is cool, but yeah, I guess just introduce the mechanics a little bit slower. I think it was difficult.
Yeah,
it was very difficult jumping in. So like even for the tutorial, make it easier, and introducing the color swap thing I think is okay in the tutorial, but definitely don't use that in the normal levels until later. Which I said that earlier. Yeah. But I think it definitely needs to be easier the first couple of levels for sure. Like have much lower number of rings and have it be very, very clear to teach the player. Because you were explaining how you intended it, but I couldn't see that. I couldn't see how you intended for the player to like switch back and forth with the gravity at the one part, and how to how to traverse each area. It probably doesn't look as complex to you because you were the one developing it, but just to have it be, to try and design it so that it's very blatant to show the particular types of paths that the players are going to be taking.
Right.
And then to, in the later levels, build on the complexity of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wise words, I think. I think if I'd had more time and a lot more patience with it, I kind of just wanted to throw it out on the screen and see what I came up with. But I will hand it to you, it is very difficult. But of course, me, like having developed it and played it over and over and over, like I kind of lose sight of that, Yeah. I'm like, oh, I'm used to it, therefore it must be really easy.
I experienced that when we were playing the other homemade game soups. That's what we called them before. When I was making a bunch of those old games on Construct, and you were playing them for the first time on the show, it was kind of eye-opening for me to see another player playing it and having difficulty with stuff that was very easy for me just because I had developed it.
Right.
And I think that's probably what's happening for you here, because I just had a lot of trouble wrapping my brain around some of the concepts the second time through, especially toward the end. I was just starting to understand the groove of the game.
Yeah. It does take that long, and if a game presents a concept to you that you haven't dealt with, I mean, in exactly that form, you know. So I kind of understand that. I do. But, well, at the very least, I hope you found it to be somewhat enjoyable.
Yeah, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it and you learned something.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching GS Plays Ring Grabber.
Ring Grabber.